Guys, it's Fonzie with DipYourCar.com. We are now in episode number 6.
Yep, 6.
Of the DYC Dipping Industry DipCast podcast. With me, as always, is Adam. We've got a very interesting show for you guys today. We've got a really cool guest that we've been excited to have on for a while. Kind of a unique guy. And Adam, what else? What else we have on the docket today?
Well, we have some really exciting topics to look forward to. First one that we're going to touch on is more information regarding dipping wheels. I know you did that video recently, but we still have some questions that we want to address. We're also going to address whether base coats are necessary when spraying PDS white gallons. We're going to touch base on some questions that we opened up to some Q&A from customers on Dippers Anonymous about the new product that's coming out relatively soon. And then we have, like you said, a really exciting guest to interview.
Yeah, the guy we have on the phone right now is he's been a Dip Your Car authorized installer for a while. I don't want to say he's by himself out there, but he is kind of by himself in a couple different ways. He's in a really unique area of the country, really holding down dipping over there, and he also has a really unique skill set, and the stuff that he turns out really doesn't look like anything else that's out there. We have London from Dip Hawaii. London, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Very good. We're very excited to have you on. The first thing that I want to touch with you is let's talk about your featured installer of the month win this December. Congratulations on that. I don't think I've ever seen a dip project that looked like that truck.
Yeah, it's pretty unique.
So it's a wood grain, essentially like a wood grain look, correct?
Yeah, basically what I wanted to achieve was a realistic wood grain finish that not only, looked like wood grain, but almost, was kind of textured like you're actually feeling a piece of wood.
So give me an idea of, you don't have to go through the whole thing, but from start to finish, let's start with how you even came up with that concept. How did that cross your mind? Because I've been dipping for, I guess, going on almost 4 or 5 years now with everything included. And to be dead honest with you, I've never once thought about, can I replicate a wood grain texture or finish?
Yeah, so basically, I kind of do airbrushing in art. That's kind of like one of my things that I like to do. But I've kind of had the idea for quite some time, actually, before I even got into dipping, about doing a wood grain finish on either a car or surfboard, skateboard, something kind of like that. So actually was going through a lot of like the faux techniques, including using different brushes or, different templates just to get that effect possible. But yeah, it was a couple months ago, probably like 6 or 7 months ago, and I was thinking like, man, that'd be really, really cool if I could actually achieve that, using Plasti Dip products. And, I think it turned out pretty decent. I don't know if you want kind of a rundown of how I did it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there are wondering how you did it, and I know there's going to be some specific techniques that you used. I got a bunch of PMs after you won Featured Installer of the Month. I got some PMs on Facebook of people saying, how did he end up doing that? And I just say, look, man, you got to ask him because I wasn't there. So, I mean, if you can give us a brief rundown of how you accomplished something like that.
Yeah. So, as a lot of people know that follow me on Instagram or Facebook, my shop truck kind of changes colors, every month almost. And so I have a pretty thick base coat of, Plasti Dip. I'm probably almost up to like, I don't know, 20 layers, 30 layers on it. And so I was thinking, how could I achieve this look with the look that I want to go for with the wood grain? But basically, what I did actually on my truck is I took latex paint, and I used the brush and I cut up the brush so I had like real short bristles and did the base coat over the Plasti Dip with just that to give it the grainy feel. And that was like a light tan color. And then I let that dry. Then I did like a glazing technique. What they do is they take a little bit darker of a brown and they mix it really, really watery.
Okay.
And so I did that over top the tan color. And, it looked cool and everything. it was definitely kind of a grain-looking wood grain kind of finish, but it wasn't complete. So that's where I took, my airbrushing experience, and I actually thinned down a mixture of the camo tan and camo brown Plasti Dip, and actually airbrushed like actual knots on the car
Okay.
blinds to make it look like a real wood grain finish, and then kind of just went over the whole thing with a little bit of a darker brown, kind of airbrushed the whole entire truck kind of a little darker to really give it that rich color, and then sealed everything back up with matte clear Plasti Dip, and then went over it a couple times with glossifier, and I think it turned out really really cool.
Yeah, when you go into a contest like the Featured Installer of the Month, there's a lot of different values that come into play as far as if you're going to win something like that. And obviously people want to see really clean dip jobs. They want to see properly applied dip jobs, solid colors, nice finishes, and creativity is kind of that wild card. It just I'm not saying it makes it unfair, but in a way, it kind of just runs away with the race because when you come in to a Featured Installer of the Month contest like that, you've got some very clean dip jobs this past month in December. A bunch of people did a great job, and then you come out there with something that just simply hasn't been done before. People definitely take notice of it and pay attention to it.
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised with the competition each month. I mean, with everybody that's doing professional dip jobs, they're really getting clean. A lot of people are really getting really smooth results. So I mean, yeah, it's really awesome seeing the dipping industry getting to where it's at now, to where it's people see it on the street and they're like, is that vinyl wrap? Like, what is
Hmm.
that? So I just try to take my skill set of more of an artistic background to try to come up with unique things that when people see it, they're like, wow, like that's actually removable. That's crazy. So, I appreciate everybody else's, hard work and devotion into the industry.
Yeah, and when you run a business, one of the best things that you can do is turn people's heads and have them asking questions. And I mean, even outside of removable coatings, and as crazy as those removable coatings are, even when you're doing solid colors, you rarely ever see a wood grain looking truck like that or vehicle. So you definitely got some heads turning and some questions, I'm sure. And one of the things a lot of people are probably wanting to ask you, as far as the airbrushing, and you've been bringing airbrushing into the dipping industry for years now. When you're airbrushing, are you using thin down dip in the airbrush or are you using paint?
Yeah. So I actually was just speaking with a guy this morning about it. I do two different methods. So I do use thin down Plasti Dip. What I'll do is I'll either thin it down a little bit with naphtha or sometimes a naphtha and xylene blend,
Hmm.
just so it's a fluid spray out of the actual airbrush because the airbrush tip is pretty small. So I'll do that, and then I also will use acrylic water-based paints, airbrush paints. But if you do that, you got to make sure that you seal it back up with matte clear or like a 50-50 satin, just
Okay.
so that that airbrush paint is going to be sandwiched between the layers and it isn't going to want to peel off.
So as long as you have enough of a base or a foundation of the Plasti Dip built up, you're pretty much free to spray airbrush paint right over it.
Yeah, because with the water-based paints, especially that and latex paints, they're still going to be flexible. I mean, I did fenders and hoods where I go peel it off, and the actual airbrush paint is, stretching just as much as the actual plastic dip, which is really cool.
Oh, awesome. And then another thing I wanted to talk to you about is if you're a dipping fan and you follow people on Facebook or especially Instagram, which is very image heavy, obviously, you're going to notice if you follow London on Instagram, and we'll give his contact information in a moment. This man plays with pearls. I mean, doesn't just he goes out of his way and to spend energy mixing pearls.
Pushes
And
the envelope for sure.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, mixing a little bit of blue and another blue to create a custom blue, but he's layering pearls and things. And a lot of people know this already, but one of the most popular dip jobs that we've ever done is the Iron Man themed pearl or combination over the DYC S8. It's a very popular video, and that's a really intense, like goldish copper to red. And that was a combo that London from Dip Hawaii messaged me on Facebook, and I say this in the video. It said, "Dude, take a look at this," and that's one of those things I love about partnering with these DYC installers, because we have these tight relationships. And that was a hugely popular pearl. It was Komodo flip over a red base. So when you're in your little lab over there, what's going through your head? I mean, how do you, are you just going bananas, mad scientist with it? Or I mean, because you messaged me, what was that, today or yesterday, with some of the stuff that you were working on for your next project. And I mean, we're looking at colors that just don't normally flip. I mean, you're stacking and layering things together. What's your process on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really any. I mean, I have no idea what things are going to look like when you especially start doing, two or three pearls layered on top of each other. You're just experimenting, and that's what's one of the coolest thing about this product is, with dip pearls and other people's pearls, you can get these 5 gram sample bags and just get a Prevail sprayer and a little bit of matte clear and just get some speed shapes and just test out things that try it over a different base color, or try these two pearls together, or mix them together. And yeah, like when I came up with the Iron Man color, like I had no idea that it was going to look like that or even flip. I thought it might look cool in certain lights, but I mean you really don't have an idea until you actually sit down and you experiment, play around with these things. And that's just the exciting thing about it for me, at least, is just coming up with colors that normally wouldn't work together, but somehow the pearls just mixed together and they look really cool. So yeah, it's kind of how I do things, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and if you follow if people are following you on Instagram by now, they know how intense that gets. I mean, it's rare for a day to go by without you popping off some ridiculous custom blend of something, and it's really fun to kind of watch that, because I don't have as much time as I used to play around in the shop, and I miss those days. And it's good to kind of live through you and guys like you to see the experimentation and stuff like that. Now, obviously, one of the most important parts, if somebody does want to follow you on Instagram, what's your Instagram?
Just you can follow me at Dip Hawaii on Instagram.
Okay.
That's the
And follow and
easiest way.
find you on Facebook as well.
Yeah,
And if there's
exactly.
somebody out there listening right now in Hawaii that wants to talk to you about getting their car dipped, how can they get in touch with you via email and phone?
Yeah, you can get me on my phone number, 808-772-1253, and then my email just at diphawaii@yahoo.com.
All right. Well, dude, we really appreciate you coming on the show. You're definitely on the list of guests. As soon as we started putting this program together, we were like, we got to get London on. He's just you're a very unique guy, very unique set of skill set, and it's one of those things that you bring something different to the table, and I think the entire community appreciates that. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate being on the show. Thanks, guys.
All right, brother. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon, and I think that knowing what you and I are putting our heads together on, I think the next dip that you do on that shop truck should probably be a bit of an eyebrow raiser, I think. And I think that's all we can pretty much say
I'm
right now.
pretty excited about it. Actually got the truck all peeled now, so getting ready for it.
Good. Well, we appreciate everything you do, brother, and I'm sure I'll talk to you very soon.
All right, sounds good. See you guys.
Take care, buddy. He's a good dude.
Yeah, that was interesting interview for sure.
He's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I like that guy. So what's next?
Okay, so we're just going to jump right into, we had done the video about the wheels
Mm-hmm.
and, the complete tutorial. And we still had some questions about, dipping wheels that maybe not necessarily were completely covered. When you're dipping a set of wheels, one of our most popular questions is, do you want to remove the wheel from the car, or do you want to leave it on?
Yeah, you know what? This is one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube. Whenever since we started the YouTube channel, there's been, I guess, a handful of reoccurring questions that come up, or topics or comments that come up that people like to comment on. One of them being, some people say it in the nicest way, like, hey, how come you didn't take the wheels off the car? And some people will say it in the most ridiculous way. of you ruin the wheels, do it right, take the wheel off the car. And the reality is you can do whatever you want. If you're the type of person who wants to take the wheel off the car, by all means, take it off the car. We put a brake masking bag inside the wheel. We cover all the brake pieces, and we get it. We get the wheel sprayed, and everything stays nice and clean and masked. Personally, when I dip my own wheels, when we used to dip customer wheels, we left the wheels on the car. Now, I could totally appreciate a professional shop that dips every day for a living, wanting to just take that extra step, go the extra mile, take the wheels off the car, clean them inside and out, mask the inside of the barrel. I mean, that from a professional point of view, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But when I see those comments, and one of my favorite comments is, I could take the wheels, I could get that car up on a jack and get the wheels off the car in the same time or faster than you can put those brake masking bags on. And you can't. I mean, you just can't. And we don't spend a lot of time on YouTube replying to comments because there's just so many of them.
Right.
But when I see that, it's one of my favorite things because no, you're not. I mean, think about it from a logical point of view.
Right.
And if that's what you want to do, by all means, go for it. You may end up with a great result in that if that's what you want to get it done. But at the end of the day, some customers will call in and they'll wonder, can I really dip the wheels while they're still on the car? And the answer is yeah, absolutely. I mean, every car that you've ever seen us dip, as far as the wheels, for sure, the wheels have been on the car. And that goes from the R8 to the everything. And the end result on that is fantastic. The only time I think that taking the wheels off the car makes a lot of sense is when you have a wheel style, very, very close spokes or something like that, where you can't stick your hands through and feed that bag around and protect the brakes. If you have a wheel style like Jared, our marketing and media manager, he likes those really crazy wheels. If you have something like that and you can't stick your hands through and feed the masking bag around, then it makes sense. You don't really have too much of a choice. You don't want to spray through there and just cover your brakes. So, but other than that, yeah, by all means, you can use the brake masking bags. It's super, super quick and cheap and easy, and that's something I would suggest to our do-it-yourselfers for sure.
And I think a lot of confusion arises from, sometimes like when the chameleon cans came out, for example, I think you had a couple wheels that you were spraying just to kind of show off colors, and they weren't on the car, but those aren't wheels those are specifically designed. Those aren't from a car that we drive around.
They're just test wheels. We have I don't know, 4 or 5 sets of wheels just sitting around the shop for testing purposes and video purposes. So, that just to clear that up.
Those are speed shapes.
Yeah, exactly. And we will never stop seeing comments on the videos about, why didn't you take the wheels off the car? Do it the right way. That'll never stop. And I appreciate the purists. I appreciate the people who want to get it done that way, but it's really easy to do it the other way. And there's almost no trade-off.
Right.
So just to get that out of the way.
Right. All right. Well, another topic that, comes up all the time. We see it, comments on Facebook. I know customer service, we get emails and phone calls about it, is white Plasti Dip and PDS gallons, and when spraying them, and there's a lot of back and forth on the Facebook, Dippers Anonymous and the community, about, do I need a gunmetal gray base
for white?
For white. And I know I chime in on a lot of those, but you can't get to every comment, so I think it's good to just kind of throw it out there on the DipCast.
Yeah, you don't need a gunmetal gray base when you're spraying white now. I mean, I know that back before, and I'll be one of the first people to admit this, white rubber dip spray was not great. It was not great. I mean, you're talking about a very low pigment load, very, very slow coverage. I think anyone who's used white rubber dip spray who didn't add extra tint into it, the DYC tints, was in for a heck of a ride. It worked better over a gunmetal gray base, and we had that video up for a long time. I think the video was entitled like "Get Better Results Spraying White Plasti Dip," and I think that video is no longer active for the sole purpose that we don't want to confuse people. Now, we also did a video, and this is another point of confusion. We did a video when the PDS launched showing using white Plasti Dip spray PDS, the improved version, over a black car with no base. You get full coverage after 3 or maybe 4 coats, but just about full coverage after 3. And as crazy as this is going to sound, for political reasons, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but for political reasons, I was asked to take it down. And it's up, it's live, and as of now, and we always direct customers to it so that they can see it. And I'll say this over and over again, as long as it's sprayed properly, you don't need a base coat for white.
Right.
If you spray it too light, or there's a lot of different ways that you can screw it up, but if you spray it properly, you're going to see probably 85 to 100% of coverage after 3 coats, and then after 4, or if you're going to get to 5, obviously for your peelability, if you're just doing a matte white car, you're good to go.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't cover as strong as black, or but navy, or not navy blue, maybe like a gunmetal or anthracite. The coverage is intense. I mean, you could cover a polka dot car in 2 coats. You wouldn't even know what was underneath it with anthracite. But white has good coverage now. It's not even fair or poor anymore. It's good. It has good coverage, and you don't need a gunmetal gray base for it anymore.
Right. Well, hopefully that puts a lot of those questions to bed. People are always going to ask, and we always say we have no problem with people asking. That's what we're here for, is to answer these questions. But I just felt like it was a topic that we needed to address, because the
best thing that we can do is make sure that this podcast series touches as many people as possible, because as big as our reach is now with the videos and social media and the virality of it and the organic growth, not everybody's going to see the DipCast.
Right.
But what's awesome, and I see this all the time now, it's like one of my favorite things on social media, is when somebody asks a question and somebody jumps right in. Dude, they just covered that on the last DipCast episode. Here's the answer.
Right.
And this podcast allows us to give the community the answers to questions and more information and deeper, more thorough explanations. And they're educating themselves based on this. And they're going out and spreading the word and answering questions. And that's awesome, man, because, Facebook is a big old plate of potatoes every day to try to knock down. And the more questions that our fans and customers and the members of the community answer for us is really helpful.
Right. And I mean, just like anywhere, the Facebook community and the forums out there, you can get lots of great information. I always tell customers, sign up for the community, because it's a place where not only installers, DYC employees, but brand new dippers can exchange photos, ideas, and answer questions. But just like anything, you'll get that question of, do I need that base for white Plasti Dip? And you'll get no, yes, you do. In an ideal world, no, you don't. And you'll get 5 different responses, and all 5 are different. So it's a good place to exchange ideas, but just be careful. Make sure you do your due diligence and do your research before you go ahead and make a decision.
Right.
Well, and I think we're going to move on now to our next topic, and I think the next topic is obviously one that a lot of people still have questions about. We covered in episode 1, but we're prepared to give out a little bit more information and kind of do like a rapid fire. We opened it up on Dippers Anonymous to ask questions about our new top coat,
the high gloss top coat that's coming out. And as we creep closer and closer to a release, the questions are going to get more and more, and we're going to be able to release more and more information. So and this is what we're doing in place of a Q&A, or we have a Q&A as well?
Well, this is in place of a Q&A. We opened it up on Dippers Anonymous, and a lot of all the questions actually were emailed to me from customers. So it's going to be kind of a rapid fire. So you're on the hot seat here.
Shoot them over.
All right, you ready? So first one, how many coats of this new product am I going to use for my car?
That depends, because this new top coat is essentially a dual action. It can be used and actually works extremely well as a pearl top coat, so you can mix your pearls directly into it. and use that as a replacement of, for example, a 50-50 blend of gloss and clear, which is what we've always kind of promoted as a really good pearl top coat. So if you're going to just use it as a pearl top coat and you're not doing a gloss top on it, you're just going to use as many coats as you normally would for your pearls, anywhere between, I don't know, 3 to 6 or however many you need to get full coverage. If you're using it as a gloss top coat, and obviously that's probably the most prominent question, how many coats do I need to get that gloss finish? That really depends on how glossy you want it to be. And I'll give you some reference points. And we did this obviously for a reason. The Triton Porsche has 1 coat of the gloss on top. The S4, the yellow Nebula Yellow S4, I believe has 2 coats of the gloss, wet coats of the gloss on top. And the SQ5, the Metallic Madness SQ5, has 3 full wet top coats on top, and that being the glossiest of them all. So when people will say, oh, you only need 1, well, I'm not saying you only need 1. You could get away with 1 and it'd probably do a pretty good job as long as you apply it properly. But I think people who are going to be applying this looking for what would be considered a high gloss finish are going to be in the 3 coat range.
All right, well, kind of piggybacking off of that, comparing it to glossifier when working with pearls or just using it as a top coat, how thin is it compared to the glossifier that we have currently?
From a viscosity point of view, it's interesting because it's just about as thin as glossifier. And if you've ever used glossifier before and you've sprayed it as a top coat and you've been able to achieve wet overlapping coats with glossifier, you're going to pretty much mimic that exact application process. I haven't changed anything about the way I spray this gloss versus the way I would spray glossifier. So like if you look back to what would be a good example, the RL71 Evo had 3 wet coats of glossifier on it, and it actually looked pretty darn glossy. That was standard glossifier, and that's exactly the same way that I shoot this gloss. However, even though it's about the same viscosity, it suspends pearls substantially better than glossifier. So if you were going to take a quart of glossifier and a quart of the new top coat, and you were going to put, I don't know, 10 grams of pearls in one, 10 grams of pearls in the other, and you were going to do the same exact robotic application on 2 different test hoods, vertical surface, and you did one fully wet out coat with pearls on the glossifier and one on the new top coat, you're going to see the pearls probably run or fall or slide a little in the glossifier, and you're going to see them stick really well in the new top coat. So that probably answers your question. But
all right, well, so kind of going off of that, and I think you kind of covered this, but just in case, so is it easier to lay down compared to matte clear or compared to glossifier?
Same.
Yeah,
right. But well, and I'm going to do a launch video for this product, obviously, and I'm very excited to do that launch video. And it's going to be a very thorough launch video. It's not going to be like, here's the product, it's perfect, it's turnkey, run with it. We're going to make sure we explain to everybody that this is a high gloss top coat. One of the things that plays into a car finish being high gloss is texture. If you spray this high gloss top coat really well and you spray it flat or you spray it wet and it dries flat, it's going to be very glossy. Mm-hmm. If you spray it from too far away, if you don't wet it out, if you essentially don't spray it properly and it dries with a texture, it's just like anything. I mean, gloss plays a lot into texture. And if you don't spray it properly, it's not only going to be textured, it's probably going to magnify your texture because there's so much light bouncing off of it. It's going to be really easy to see that.
Right.
So it's going to kind of put people, it's going to force them to be on their A game.
There's going to be a learning curve.
Well, yeah. I mean, for a lot of people, I'm sure they're going to knock it out of the park right away. But you're going to have to do a good job. I mean, this is not going to be spritz it, oh, I'm done, 3 coats, and it's a perfect mirror finish. You're going to have to spray it well. The gloss level of it is going to be directly correlating to how good of a job you do.
Hmm.
And that's with anything, especially when you get into something like this.
Well, you said you're excited about that launch video, and I'm sure that there's one or two people out there that are just as excited, if not
Yeah.
more excited out there than you.
Yeah.
Um, so which finish will it be best applied to? Pearls, microflakes, as a top coat, or do you think it's gonna be a well-rounded balance?
No, it's going to, I mean, a balance, but it's going to do wonders for microflakes. You rarely ever see microflakes being used now. And we covered this in one of the other episodes because microflakes relies heavily on clarity, and this has extraordinary clarity. So you're going to see a lot more microflakes being used. I can't wait to use microflakes. I think the first video we probably won't do microflakes, but I think as soon as this stuff launches and goes public, I am very excited to do a microflake video.
And then can it be sprayed as a top coat on pre-existing dip? If I've dipped my car,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I see this all the time on Facebook. I see at least once or twice a day when the top coat's being discussed or the new gloss is being discussed, people saying, I'm waiting. And if you're waiting for the right reasons, then cool, man. If you're waiting because you're waiting for it to get warmer, or you're waiting because you want to use it for your pearl coats, which is a good move, because if you use it for your pearl coats, the more of this product is built up, the glossier it's going to get. So if you have a base coat, just say black PDS, and then you have on one car you have 3 coats of matte, clear, and gloss blend with your pearls, and on the other car you've got 3 coats of the same pearls, but you use a new top coat, and then you stack 1 or 2 gloss coats on top. The one that you use the new product for your pearl coats is going to end up being more clear and glossier and looking better than the one that you use the 50/50 blend on. So if you're waiting because you want to use the new top coat for your pearl coats, then that's perfectly fine. It makes sense.
Mhm.
If you already have a dipped car, or you say you dipped your car now and you want to spray it with gloss later, you're gonna be able to do that just fine. As long as you clean that car, you can apply this stuff to any dipped car at any time.
And there's still going to be a place for that matte clear glossifier mixture because people like that satin finish as well.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say it's gonna become void or just totally unusable, but if you use this new top coat with your pearls and you don't put a gloss coat on top, you're going to end up with a very clean satin finish.
Oh, okay.
That's actually going to look quite a bit better than if you use the 50/50 blend because of the clarity factor.
Hmm.
And you'd be able to see it. We've done so much testing on this, over a year of testing. And if you just forget about gloss top coats. If you're talking about just using this stuff with pearls, and you shoot a 12-inch square over here and a 12-inch square over there with the 2 different stuff, you can immediately see the difference in clarity. The pearls just have so much of a shimmer and so much, you're going to see the full pop of the pearls versus the other side, which actually kind of makes the 50/50 blend look a little bit frosted,
Okay.
if you can imagine what I mean by frosted.
Right.
So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of that actually.
Cool. Cool. And do you need professional spraying equipment to work with this product?
You do not need professional spray equipment to use this product. The cars that you see coming out of our shop are all sprayed with the DYC sprayer. The Porsche, the S4, the SQ5, any video car that you see has been sprayed with the DYC sprayer for obvious reasons. Now, yes, we have tested this pearl top coat with professional equipment, an HVLP compressor system, a pressure pot system, a 5-stage turbine. And here's the bottom line. And I've said this probably 100 times, you are going to get pretty good results using this top coat with a do-it-yourself system like a DYC sprayer. You're going to get better, more excellent results using a better system. It's just the nature of the beast. It's like anything else. If you use okay equipment with this stuff, and we're talking about a high gloss coat. So if you use pretty good equipment, you're going to get a pretty good finish. It can definitely be done. But can I get a even better finish using a high quality or higher level equipment? Yeah, I can. And I think you're going to see a separation. Now that this stuff's going to be out, you're going to see a separation between do-it-yourselfer jobs and finishes and results and professional finishes and results. Now, there's a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there that have high-end stuff.
Right.
You can definitely use this stuff with do-it-yourself equipment and get good results, but you can get better results using better equipment. The atomization is there. You're going to lay down a thinner, wetter coat. It's just
I mean, that just
it's
makes
just
sense.
physics, yeah.
Yeah. Will we be able to be sending it to our Canadian customers?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. We have, oh man, I wonder if I can say this. Let me try to be accurate, but not direct. It would be awesome if we've already finished development on a low VOC version of this coating, right? It'd be awesome. And it'd be awesome if it didn't launch when this one did, but it launched a little further down the road. That'd be cool.
All right, that would be cool. Possible price points?
This is I can tell you that, and this is an estimate. I've seen some really interesting numbers
Yeah,
thrown around there.
We all have.
Sean Dungan from Georgia was joking around and threw out the $150 mark.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple very concerned private messages within about 3 or 4 minutes of his joking comment. I like that guy. He's a great guy. $150 mark is per gallon is not going to be where we're going to be on this. An estimate, give or take, I would say right around the $90 per gallon mark is where I would be comfortable with it. And now I have to make sure that, Plasti Dip is the manufacturer here, and we have to make sure everyone's on the same page. But that's where I'd be comfortable with it, right around that $90 mark.
And the all-important question, the end-all, be-all, is
and the best part is you don't know the answers to any of these questions.
No, see,
that's the best part.
A lot of times I do, but you know what? For these, I'm actually conducting this interview as a customer of this product.
And when we do Q&As, I don't know what questions you're going to ask me, and we purposely do that because I think it's more conversational. I think it has a more natural feel to it. Yeah, and you know me anyway. The videos, we make them up as we go along. This stuff, we just roll with it. You have your little note sheets and everything. But
preparation
in
is key.
this scenario, this entire series of questions, the customer service team doesn't know any of this information. And there's a reason for that, because they get asked the question 100 times a day. And I think it's more natural for them to just genuinely not know instead of choosing not to tell people.
Right.
It'll be public now, but go ahead. What was your question again? I sidetracked the entire thing.
When?
I think a really safe guess or estimate would be right around an 8-week mark from today.
First quarter of 2015.
I did say first quarter.
You did.
And 8 weeks from today would be mid-March. Anything can happen to stop that or slow it down. So if it doesn't happen, if you're going to mark your calendar for 8 weeks from today and then message me on Facebook when it doesn't launch, I probably won't respond. Or if I do, I'll apologize. But anything can happen, but that's where we're at. I think 8 weeks from today, give or take a little while, is a really safe place to be. So we're getting close. And 8 weeks may feel like forever, but when you've been testing something, working on it for 15 months, 8 weeks is like a blink of an eye.
And well, I know when there's questions that pop up on the community and forums and things like that, and you talk about this new coating, you have not only do-it-yourself customers, but you have installers asking that when. Well, I'm sure that the excitement's going to build and people are going to want to know, can we pre-order this stuff?
Yes, we are going to have a pre-order.
You just got a bunch of fist pumps throughout.
We are going to set it for pre-order. It would only make sense. There's a lot of people out there. Let's just start with the professionals first. We have a lot of professionals that are saying, I've got customers lining after these things go out. And people, for the little handful of people out there that get pissed that we share these high gloss pictures and videos before the product's released, I'm sorry, buddy, but there's a reason why we do that. There's a lot of people out there that want to see the product, and I want people to be able to live vicariously through us and see the process and really just be along for the ride. And there are quite a few professionals that say, that they've gotten approached by customers that were never interested in dip before, that have seen the videos or seen the pictures, and they are starting to try to book dates for dips or for installations. Um, and with that in mind, considering there's only so much of this stuff we can make for the first run, even though the first run will probably be in the 4 to 5,000 range as far as gallons, that's going to go quick. And I think it makes sense for professionals and anyone else out there who's got the inclination to do it to be able to pre-order and secure as many gallons as they want up front, because it's one of those things where I think they have the right to do that. And I think there's a lot of people that have been trying to place pre-orders and we're not ready for that yet. We don't have a SKU. We don't have a part number in the system yet. We needed a solid price point, but that's going to make a lot of sense. Not only from an order point of view, but the day that stuff's arrive, or the day it arrives is as soon as those pallets start coming in, we want to have orders ready. We want to have everything pre-boxed, and we want to be able to get the stuff out the door that day. And pre-orders really help us do that from a systematic point of view.
Cool.
So
Cool. That's all I got. I mean, we had such an influx of questions this week once we put that that statement up on Dippers Anonymous that we were going to be talking about this new top coat. So if we didn't get to your question, we do apologize. We'll try to send you out an email response within the next couple days. And as you always say, when there's testing going on and there's new products that haven't been launched yet, there's only so much that we can say. And as it's approaching, we're saying a little bit more.
yeah, I mean, I push that envelope as far as it can go, and I think I give the people at Plasti Dip a bit of a heart attack pretty much every time I open my mouth, because they're working really hard to get stuff done for us, and we work so closely together. We have such a great relationship, and then there's things that I decide to squeak out here and there, and people really like that, but we're we're running a very dangerous line, a thin line with that. We've never really crossed it to a degree, but I try my best to give you guys as much as I possibly can without going overboard.
So hopefully this, calms the fire, or I'm not sure, it might
No, it
fuel
won't.
it a little bit.
The only thing that's going to calm the fire is when it's out,
Right,
when people
right,
can
you're
buy
right.
it and use it. And I would be the same way.
Absolutely.
I mean, I am a dipper. That's the only reason I do this stuff. And I, unfortunately for everyone else, but fortunately for me, have been able to use this and enjoy it and understand the power of it and how amazing it can be. And this product is not perfect. It's not the end all be all. It's not a piece for piece replica or replacement for OEM clear coat. I've said that 100 times. It's a really awesome top coat that works excellent with pearls and additives and flakes. It feels great, and it just happened to be really freaking glossy when it's applied properly. And I think it's awesome because I think the market really needs that. A DIY friendly gloss product that looks awesome. I mean, you guys have seen the pictures that I put up on Instagram when I parked that SQ5 at the gym or wherever, and it's right around other cars. I turn back and I look, and there's just, at least from an image point of view or visual point of view, there's just no difference. I mean, you just can't really see it. So I love that. It's awesome. So next week, I don't know what we're covering from a topic point of view. I haven't looked at the show sheet yet, but we already have our guest booked for next week. A guy that's been around. I think he's probably, if you had to pin one of the top 4 or 5 well-known guys in the dipping industry, I think this guy's on that list.
Mm-hmm.
And
for sure, a lot of people are going to know this guy.
Well, he's been around forever. He was a part of the dipping or the DYC forums when it started. He was like one of the first several members. I mean, who was back there? Melissa was one of the first members. Ricky Vasquez was one of the first members. And Jesse K, the infamous Jesse K.
Spilled the beans.
From,
I thought we were going to leave it.
Nah, I mean, at this point, this is what happens when you make it up as you go along. Jesse K.
It wasn't on my notes.
I don't pay attention to your notes. Jesse K, the founder of the infamous Dippers Anonymous, is gonna join us, so we can talk to him about that and how dipping's impacted his life and stuff like that. Maybe we'll even get his last name out of him, because that's the biggest mystery. I actually know it because we've done some business and I've shipped him stuff and we've talked in the past. But I think that's one of the most he'll get some questions. We'll collect questions for us to ask Jesse by next week. So write that down on one of your little show sheets and highlight it and do everything you got to do. But other than that, we obviously have a lot of fun doing this. So
As
we really
always.
look forward to next week. And it's Fonzie from Dip Your Car with Adam and Dan, our sound tech, who I wonder if you stuck your head in the camera. Do you want to give him one?
There
There
it
it is.
is.
There it is. That's going to be his new trademark. And this bottle of water is going to end up being our new good luck charm or something, because that's been there for about 4 weeks straight. And it's probably
your
just
peanut butter crackers that are hanging out
Hey,
over there.
if there were still crackers in there, I would have eaten them already. That's just a wrapper. But that's basically a manifestation of God knows what kind of germs and whatever other bacteria. But we'll keep that on the table. So we will see you the next time around.